We'll kick off tonight's proceedings with Nik and Harry from Good Citizens. Nik has always tried to use his creative skills to make a positive difference. He's been a radio broadcaster, creative director, and donut maker. His first business, aged 9, was an illegal pirate radio station run from his bedroom. He sold advertising space to local businesses, but his mum shut it down due to a lack of a license. His top 3 career moments include convincing his ex-boss, Bob Geldof, to co-host his radio show for a night on the Triple M network, having his design work exhibited next to Philippe Starck at the Design Museum London, and setting up Good Citizens with his kids, then aged 8 and 6, to help untrash the planet. Nik, welcome to the stage.
Hello, can you hear me? Brilliant. Talk about business transparency, having my business partner with me. Do we use this? I said I was going to come here on my own tonight, but my boss said, I'm coming with you, Dad. So this presentation, Chasing 100%, we set off to try and make something out of 100% recycled plastic. Harry is my co-founder with his little brother Archie, who refused to come tonight. It's an interesting challenge, running a small business, and with, I think we've got a combined age of about 50 years between the 3 of us as founders, and I'm the eldest. So we never set out to make sunglasses. What did we set out to do, Harry?
To untrash the planet.
That's our purpose. That's what we do. Every decision that we ever do or make is put through that simple filter. And when you work with children and people like me, things have to be simple because no one concentrates and people get distracted, but you've got to try and make things as simple as possible. What we do is we recycle waste into beautiful products, and on the left is trash and on the right-hand side is good. And so our problem that we were solving is 500 billion bottles are made a year and only about 7 or 12% get recycled, which is a really, really frightening figure. Where do they go, Harry, all the bottles?
The rest go to landfill or the ocean.
That's rubbish, isn't it? No pun intended. So what we do as a business, to simplify it even more, is trash goes in and good comes out. And that's it. And then we wrote down at that table, what skills do we need? And we kind of wrote this long list of commercial recycling, manufacturing, intellectual property law. I was trying to teach the kids all the things you kind of need to know. Talking to very important people on the phone was his little brothers. If you have that skill, then you absolute slam dunk. So we went through this list and we ticked everything. What were the ones we could do?
Ocean cleanups, talk to very important people, my job, create a brand.
Create a brand. So we thought, with these odds, let's do it. Why would you not do it? And so Archie on the right had been watching forklift truck driving on YouTube and said he could drive a forklift truck and he could run the operational side of the warehousing. So that's good. And first thing we did was we scribbled down 4 principles that we all agreed and we signed on. Harry, can you read out number 1 to 4?
Only use 100% recycled materials. Design products to last. No person or the planet is harmed. And employees get to spend time with their children and families.
This is probably going to be a bit boring for you, Harry, but I wanted to talk through the 3 stages. So 4 months of research, and the serious wife talks are the 4 times that my wife sat me down and said, right, we're 20 grand in debt, we're 50 grand in debt, we're 180 grand in debt, we're 300 grand in debt. Right, that's how much this has cost. But our journey is it's a crazy story. We had this machine made. We went to the factory. That's our car on the left, and that's the car on the right. There's a forklift taking it into the car and a machine taking it out. Highly illegal driving the car with a half a ton of machine in the back, and we broke the family car suspension. But that went. We had our factory in DY, and we drove to Minto. It's an 11-hour round trip with getting things taken apart, and we did that 51 times in pursuit to try and make this work. How many times did I cry, do you think?
Well, it felt like 1 billion, but about 3.
Yeah, it was 5. I cried. I actually sobbed. I actually sobbed in a lay-by in Minto because I was just so spent and I just couldn't. It's heartbreaking. But how many days later, Harry?
220 days.
That's 720.
We had... Oh, no. 720 we had.
After 720 days, we made the first pair. And
Number one.
we sat there, and this was when the fires were going on in Sydney last year, and I remember it popping out the machine. We made it, we put some lenses in, and I just slid down the wall, and I was like, we've done it. And then I had 5 minutes of joy, and I went, now we've got to make the second pair. Hope it's quicker than 720 days. And this is Harry. What are you doing in that picture, Harry? Do you want to tell people on the left?
I'm measuring to see if the glasses will fit your head properly and suit your head.
So that's quality control. So it's we've set all these little systems up, and there's Archie on the right. He's counting. That was a good design decision. We originally only made 2 clips, but we had the same.
Archie count like 73 times 8 of those clips?
Yeah, he did. So Archie's pretty good with maths, but that little thing there, that little wheel has 8 clips on. We used to make it with 2 clips, but we made a design decision and spent $10,000 extra, and now we make 8 clips with the same amount of waste plastic. We have brands approach us, and it's really weird. Like I said no to someone, they had 16 million followers, and just didn't feel right. And you go, that's a lot of sales, that's a lot of untrashing the planet, that's a lot of, happy mum that we've actually made some money. But it didn't feel right because predominantly the person and the brand that wanted to work with us does more trashing than untrashing, and they were kind of using us to say, hey, here, look, I'm working with this dad and these kids. And so we've said no, and it's really weird because we don't like hurting people's feelings, but we have to make sensible decisions because it's our brand, we're in control of it, and we just don't want to be in bed with different people. But we have said yes. Well, when I say in bed, it's just like a term. It's not. So we'll go and stand over here. We have said yes, and we got a phone call. I was in London seeing my parents, and I ended up going down to London for 3 hours. I ended up meeting the general manager and got a tour of Selfridges, and they said, would you like to be part of Project Earth, which was their biggest initiative for the planet? And then they said, would you like a window? And I was like, you kidding me? And this window was next to Prada. And it's really bizarre because I rang Joss, my wife, and said, hey, I've just shaken hands with some pretty important people, and we're going to be stocked in Selfridges. And I got on the plane, flew home, and all I had was a prototype. We actually hadn't made a pair. But luckily, COVID hit, and so we had about 5 months up our sleeve. Otherwise, we'd have been doomed. Create an impact with 100%. I remember waking up. My wife kind of secretly entered the Good Design Awards, and we won Best in Class, and we won Fashion Gold. And this is Archie.
Archie drew a mustache.
Didn't realise he'd drawn a mustache on his face, and he'd had that all day at school the previous day. He opened up the boxes, and there's a little arrow there. That's the first bottle that Harry, Archie, I, and Jocelyn collected in Balmain.
With plastic bottles.
Yeah, we were. If you go to the UN website, we thought it was getting recorded in 40 minutes' time, but it had been recorded for the entire thing, and his grandma said it was terrible. We had no respect, and we were mucking about. We've been featured in Forbes, and all this is great. We're really humbled because it's just helping that conversation go in the right direction.
To untrash the planet.
Yeah, we can't do anything on our own. Everybody's got to play their part. But what's the one request you'd like, Harry? Because I didn't think he was coming tonight. So what's the one thing you don't want people to do, or you'd like?
Well, I'd like you to pick up plastic bottles when you see them, and not drink from single-use stuff, and not necessarily use single-use stuff. To help the next generation, so then we don't die.
Oh, God.
Don't kill us, please.
So look, just to finish, thanks for your time. I actually enjoy working with them.
Might have been a bit boring.
No, you're cool. I enjoy working with Harry's brother, and we've got an amazing team, and I feel that it's kind of our responsibility to sometimes, we all live in our own head, but if I hadn't sat and listened to the kids at that dinner table and tried to learn
this wouldn't
bloody
be
Pokemon,
happening, and you wouldn't be sitting with us.
I won't be here. So I just want to say thank you. A little idea can change the world, so thank you.